Hello Year 7. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw this apple. So we're going to take our understanding of breaking natural forms down into basic shapes. Then we are going to alter that shape so that it looks more like the apple. And then we're going to add contour lines. And then we're going to start to apply tone. And we're going to do this step by step. So you can pause this at any point and have a little go. So I put my apple just in front of me now. So it's just slightly out of sight for you guys. And what I'm going to do is I'm working on the same sheet as you, and I'm in the box that's furthest over, so you can see there's my tonal ladder from last lesson, and now I'm in this box over here. And I'm going to start by holding my pencil towards the end because it gives me the maximum movement within the wrist. And I'm going to start by drawing a nice big circle, and this circle is approximately going to be the size of my finished apple. Now, I'm not actually drawing anything. What I'm doing at the minute is I'm just testing to see approximately what size I want it to be and to make sure I've got a nice curve in the wrist. So I'm starting with a simple geometric shape, which is the circle. And freehand circles are tricky, so have a little go. Keep it super light. And if you get it a little bit incorrect, then get the rubber and just rub it out and just have another little go. So just take a little second and create your circle. So I've got my circle and it pretty much fills that box. Now what I want to do is I want to have a little look at the shape of this apple. Now I'm working from an object that's straight in front of me, and you're working from images, but the fundamentals are the same. So I've got at the very top, if I show you into my visualizer here, if I show you, I've got the little stalk, I've got a part where the apple goes in, so I've got a depression there. There's a slight tapering of the shape, so I'm having a little look at all of these things, and now I'm going to start to add them. So looking all the time at my apple, I'm going to start by putting a oval or an ellipse shape towards the top of my apple. This is going to be the top. Now I've put it slightly in, and you're going to see why in a moment. Now I'm going to start to put a line where the stalk's going to be. So I popped that in there, and I noticed that the stalk is higher than the apple. So I'm going to start to put that in. And I'm not going to make it, I'm not pressing very hard with my pencil. I'm keeping all of these lines very, very soft, very, very faint. Then I'm going to have a look at the shape, and the shape is not a perfect circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slightly alter that circle I started with to make it look more realistic. Again, just altering it so it doesn't look quite so perfect anymore, because an apple is an irregular natural form. And as I said before, it tapers in, so I make sure that mine tapers in here. So now I've got a shape that I'm quite happy with, but it still looks quite flat. So the next thing I'm going to start to do is I'm now going to start to have a look at what we call contour lines. Contour lines are the lines that follow the form of the shape. So I've started with the shape, which is a flat, it's the flat part of the object, it's the outside of the object. Now I'm getting onto the form, and the form is that fat part. So for example, if I put the apple into the visualizer, the shape would be the outside. The form is the fact that it comes out and it curves. It comes out and it curves, and I can trace that with my pencil. So I need to put those lines in. So starting from where I created that depression, I'm going to go out, and then I'm going to come round, and it's going to follow the form. It's going to create a C shape. Again, out and round. And then as it comes towards me, it's still not going to be totally straight. It's still going to come out and round, and I can do it towards the back as well. Now, this would be the case for any object you're drawing. You have to record the form of it. So once I've gone round, pop another one in there. And again, keeping it very soft because I don't want to see these lines at the end. I'm then going to go around the opposite direction, and again, it curves. So you've got to make sure that these curve in. Now, if you were to look down my apple, you can see it's circular. And therefore, my contour lines are circular because they are tracking that form. I don't want to put so many on that I lose, I don't know the definition of it. But equally, as it gets towards this middle part here and there's a depression, they're going to get closer towards each other. And already now that should start to look three-dimensional. So I'm going to pause it now and let you have a little go and let your teacher check. So now you should have an apple that looks three-dimensional. And what we're going to do is we're going to start to add some tone. So what's really good is now we've added these contour lines, they're going to guide us to the direction that we're going to add our pencil work. So I like to start at the darkest points because it's a winner really. And because to get those dark points, what I need to do is I want to layer my tone. So following, notice the direction of my pencil, following the lines, I'm going to keep it quite nice and soft. What I'm going to start to do is add some tone. Now what we find is that the apple is darker towards the bottom and the sides. Now my light source is coming straight from above, but we are adding tone to a sphere. So this pencil's not an amazing pencil, to be honest. It's just a HB pencil. If I just change it and I get a B pencil, this is a lovely soft lead, and it will make adding tone so much easier. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a little bit of time building this up, going in the same direction as these contour lines, but I want to spend a bit of time building that up, and therefore what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a little bit of a speed up. Okay. Okay, so hopefully now you can see that I've got some tone happening. What I've mostly done is I've looked really carefully at where I can see the shadows, and there are some highlights. The lightest parts are what we call the highlights, and I don't want to go into those, so you can still see some of the white paper coming through where there are some highlights. And I'm just trying to blend them out. Now, if I spent a little bit more time, I could probably blend them a little bit more than this, but I wanted to start to show you how to add darker tones. So I've mostly built these tones up just by layering, by going over the same area multiple times and just not going into some areas to keep them lighter. Now, right towards the very top, if I show you again, I've got all this lovely detailing here. And I also want to get in things like any marks on the apple. And I also want to add in sort of little highlights, little textures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by doing the darkest parts first. I'm going to do that by using the tip of my pencil. I'm going to look really carefully, following those contour lines, they're really important, at the sorts of textures coming out from the top where the stalk is. I'm going to start to record the shapes that they make. I might want to go a little bit into my stalk here. I don't want to go into it too much because I want you to be able to see it against the darkness that I'm adding into that background. Also, I said to you before, there was a little mark on this apple, so I'm going to pop that in just at the side. And some marks here where some of the markings are coming off the top of the apple. I'm going to put those in. Just going to darken that part slightly more. And then I also want to have a look at where there's some shadow. So I'm going to darken out the bottom, just again using the tip of my pencil to do that. Now the shadow, which is the car shadow, which is below the apple, it falls in two circles. So shadows always follow the shape of the object that's cast in them. Shadow is always darkest, nearest to the object, so we can start using really nice strong tone. Practice doing that last lesson. can start with a really nice dark tone, and then it's going to get lighter the further away it gets. So going in different directions actually can help you to get a really nice dark tone. But then lightly soften what you're doing just to try and get that lightness as it moves further away. So using a bit of pressure, just be careful, you don't want it to look too scribbly. And then blend it out, going over the top of it. And what my apple does is it actually creates two shadows. So I'm just going to tidy in these edges up slightly. I'm actually going to add the second shadow that comes out from round the side, and it crosses into this shadow. So again, using a nice hard edge. This shadow tends to be a bit darker. I can see that it's darker, so where the two shadows intersect with each other, it's darker there too. And then one direction, add some tone there, just clean the edges up slightly. Okay. Brilliant. Now, if I want to put some texture back into it, so make it a little bit lighter, in some places I could use the rubber to subtract some of that tone, but I'm quite happy with that. I think I'll leave it.